outside of the Emergency Operations Center.
Good evening. Welcome to Surviving the Storm, a Storm Team 8 special. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Jerby. We're coming to you from Tampa Bay Watch on South Pinellas Estuary. Tonight, we'll show you some practical ways to help you prepare for hurricanes that will help save property and lives. Tampa Bay Watch is a living laboratory where scientists and volunteers study the estuary ecosystem and the role climate and weather, especially severe weather such as hurricanes, affected. The complex is located at the southern end of Pinellas County on the Pinellas Bayway and along the waters between Tampa Bay and the eastern Gulf of Mexico. The nonprofit's mission: to restore and stabilize sensitive ecosystem damaged during a hurricane.
When you have shoreline areas that don't have these natural communities, the whole brunt of the waves and the wind comes ashore and can cause a lot more destruction. But when you look at these natural areas that continue to have salt marsh, mangroves, natural oyster bars, living shoreline communities, they do such a much better in resisting the widespread impacts of a hurricane system.
This year, Tampa Bay Watch turned 25. 25 years of restoring the shorelines, plants, and sea life with the efforts of thousands of volunteers and keeping a watchful eye on this beautiful bay area we call home. Irma. It will be many years before Floridians forget the name of this powerful hurricane. Irma caused catastrophic damage and more than 130 deaths as it moved through the Caribbean and up the state of Florida. Irma was the 9th named storm of the 2017 Atlantic hurricane season. It strengthened rapidly as it traveled west, and by the time it arrived in the eastern Caribbean, Irma reached Category 5 strength with 185-mile-per-hour winds. On September 6th, the Category 5 storm first made landfall on the tiny island of Barbuda, with maximum winds of 155 miles per hour. It didn't weaken as it continued west-northwest and slammed into St. Martin. Then the British Virgin Islands. Weakening slightly, but still a Category 5, Irma moved near Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. Irma made 7 landfalls altogether, 5 as a Category 5. And as a Cat 4 when it hit the Florida Keys on the evening of September 10th.
I don't know whether you can see me.
NBC reporter Carrie Sanders was there when a Category 3 Irma made a final landfall at Marco Island in southwest Florida.
This is the eye wall hitting right now, the strongest winds. Hard to believe, but right over there are several condos. They're only about 2.5 blocks from here, and you can't see a thing.
Carrie and his crew were experiencing 100-mile-per-hour winds and driving rain.
The whole Florida peninsula saw hurricane-force wind gusts.
NHC hurricane specialist Michael Brennan says despite Irma's size and intensity, it could have been a lot worse.
Small changes in the track made a big difference in the intensity forecast. If Irma had just stayed a little farther north of the north coast of Cuba, it could have ended up being much stronger at its landfall in the Keys and in southwest Florida.
Late in the evening on September 10th, Irma moved into the Tampa Bay metro area. We should point out, Julie, this is now a Category 2 hurricane.
It is.
With 110-mile-per-hour winds. It's weaker than what it was at landfall. It's Category 3, so that's better news. But as it moves to the north, it is expected to weaken even further. Even weaker, Irma affected nearly every part of Florida. It caused more than 92 deaths in the U.S., 80 of them in Florida, and more than $50 billion in damage. In all, 134 people died as a result of this storm, and the losses from it totaled nearly $65 billion. Irma was such a dangerous storm, the National Weather Service has retired its name. Irma was one of the longest-lasting and strongest hurricanes in Atlantic history, but that's not the only statistic that landed Irma in the record books. Storm Team 8's Julie Phillips gives us Irma by the numbers.
The Tampa Bay area won't soon forget Irma, and the record books won't either. For one, Irma's sustained wind speed topped out at 185 miles per hour as it approached the Caribbean. Irma is only one of 4 hurricanes to have winds reach that strength. Number 2, Irma maintained its max wind speed for 37 hours. That's the longest a tropical cyclone has maintained winds at that level or higher anywhere in the world. Michael Brennan, a specialist with the National Hurricane Center, explained how Irma's massive wind field brought issues across the entire state.
The whole Florida Peninsula saw hurricane-force wind gusts, so we knew that risk was really there. So we had hurricane watches mornings up for essentially the entire peninsula.
Number 3, Irma is the strongest hurricane to hit the Leeward Islands. Brennan explained to us why Irma's winds were just so strong.
And, Irma had this really intense period of long-lived Category 5 status over the Caribbean, where, typically storms that get that strong either interact with land or they go through some sort of eye wall cycle, and they won't stay strong for that long.
And number 4, Irma had the lowest pressure recorded in a decade. Irma's central pressure dropped to 914 millibars, the lowest since Dean in 2007. And last but definitely not least, Irma was the longest-lived Category 5 hurricane. It maintained Cat 5 strength for a remarkable 3.25 days. Safe to say, we hope to not have to deal with a storm like Irma anytime soon.
Hurricane Irma caused some strange natural weather phenomena as it approached the Bay Area last September. Storm Team 8 meteorologist Ian Oliver explains why these unusual weather events took place.
Bayshore Boulevard is one of Tampa's most iconic locations. It's the perfect spot for a scenic stroll along the bay. Now that is, of course, when there's water in it. Hurricane Irma had widespread and devastating impacts across much of Florida, but this was definitely the strangest.
You gotta go out probably what is that, like 300 yards probably until you can actually get to the water. So, it's different. You're not going to see this again anytime soon.
As Irma approached from the south, a strong offshore wind aided the astronomical low tide in pushing water out of the already shallow bay.
Just as you can push water over land, you can pull water away from the bay. Obviously, there was no water where there should be water.
This was the perfect recipe for what was, in effect, a reverse storm surge. A somewhat apocalyptic scene for those who witnessed it, and millions more who saw these images across the country.
Winds are actually stronger on the eastern side, and of course
the Tampa Bay area only narrowly avoided a worst-case scenario for storm surge flooding, a track that would have taken Irma just offshore to the west. Instead, the center of the storm passed well east of the bay.
Small changes in that track along the west coast of Florida made a huge difference for what the surge risk was, from all the way from the Tampa area all the way down to the Keys.
Thankfully, by the time the wind shifted back onshore across Tampa Bay, the western side of Irma had degraded. The wind died down and a minimal surge was recorded. Of course, many coastal areas were not spared. A several-foot storm surge swamped portions of southwest Florida and the Keys. Some areas along the Atlantic coast were pounded too. Downtown Jacksonville experienced record flooding.
Hurricane Irma was interesting in that it was a very large storm, and it also took a very unique track. Coming up the peninsula like it did, you basically had storm surge occurring on both sides of the coast.
Irma caused one of the largest power outages due to a disaster in our nation's history. 62% of the state's 10.5 million households were without power following the hurricane. Before and after satellite images from NOAA show Florida typically lit up at night, and the effects of the widespread power outage after Irma.
If you ain't got no electricity, you just ain't got no electricity.
Are you ready in case you lose power? Have a plan just in case. To purchase a generator, make sure you get one strong enough to serve your needs. Stock up now on non-perishables and water. And as the storm approaches, start making ice to store in the freezer, to use in coolers if you lose power. Being well prepared gives you your best chance of surviving the storm. Storm surge. It's the hidden danger that comes with every hurricane and what you should avoid at all costs. We'll show you why storm surge is so devastating. Information you need when surviving the storm.
Surviving the Storm, a Storm Team 8 special, is sponsored by Precision Overhead Garage Door and Master Restoration.
Your choice, Florida. The Sportage or the Sereno. $279 a month. Mackenzie, what a deal.
So beautiful. This is
I
love this vehicle.
And I'll tell you something, you're not going to want to miss it. This month going on right now, $279.
Huge.
Once your personal information is stolen, it can take months to undo the damage. AAA helps make identity theft protection easier with Protect My ID Essential through Experian. AAA members receive free daily monitoring of their Experian credit report with email alerts notifying them of key changes, as well as offering fraud resolution assistance. A $49 value at no cost to members. Don't wait for thieves to steal your personal information. Visit AAA.com/identity theft to learn more about Protect My ID and to join AAA today.
Bigger doesn't mean stronger. Don't be defined by a weight class. Introducing the all-new Terrain, the compact SUV from GMC. Mighty like a pro. The all-new Terrain. Current lessees switch to GMC and get this low-mileage lease on this 2018 Terrain SLE for around $249 per month, or get $3,500 purchase allowance when you finance through GM Financial.
It's time for the semi-annual sale with savings on the new Sleep Number 360 smart bed. It senses and automatically adjusts for effortless comfort. Right now, during our semi-annual sale, save up to $700 on Sleep Number 360 smart beds, plus 36-month financing. Ends Monday.
Going on right now at all Fusillo Kia stores in the state of Florida. When you trade in any 1998 or newer foreign car, you're going to get an additional $500 over the rebate, over the discount, over everything. An additional $500. Trade in any foreign car. That's huge.
Get the power of Max Defender 8 at your fingertips. Download the Max Defender 8 app today.
Do you have a personal hurricane plan for your family? Part of it should include a hurricane kit. Meteorologist Lee Spann shows us how to put one together.
That's right. I'm here with Jose Bueno with the American Red Cross, and we are going to make the perfect hurricane kit as we get ready to head into the hurricane season. Thanks for helping us out today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thank you for having us here.
All right, so what do we need?
Of course, first of all, we need water. 1 gallon per person per day in your family. So 1 gallon per person per day. We have food here, and I like a lot of these bars, and so we are going to put them in our kit.
So they're filling and they hold up, right?
Absolutely. They have a lot of calories, so they're a good nutrition value. And keeping with the food, so we have canned food, and of course you always want to have a can opener ready to go, a manual can opener.
Yep, that's right, because you won't have electricity. You need a manual. All right, and so Jose, you actually went down into Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria and saw some of these in action.
Absolutely. So there's a couple of things that I used in Puerto Rico a lot. So I always had this ready. So it's a live straw water purification system. You put the unclean water inside the bottle, and then with the straw you just suck the water, and it will come out purified. So it's a multi-use tool. I also use a first aid kit when I traveled to Puerto Rico. I had a couple of cuts moving trees and stuff. So I always have a current first aid kit. I make sure that all the things inside are up to date. Communication and information is extremely important, so you always want to have a regular portable radio. Before I went to Puerto Rico, I bought this online, and it's a solar power charger, so you can charge different devices. I have an insect repellent.
Okay.
So that's very important.
Right in there.
Hand sanitizer is very important. Of course, matches. So this is very important. Maybe you have to cook something and you don't have electricity. Trash bag.
And we close this up, and we hope that we don't have to use it. But knowing that we have it should make us feel a little bit better as we go into hurricane season.
I'm Storm Teammate meteorologist Ed Bloodsworth. Irma was the kind of weather event that Max Defender 8 was made to track. Its 1 million watts of power and S-band technology were put to the test.
We don't have to tap into our radar network at this point. It is within Max Defender 8's range, which is far exceeding most radars' range at this point.
Our radar gave us the ability to see through Irma's heavy rain bands and into the storm's core.
Using the S-band technology, it is 202 miles away, and yet we can clearly see that northern eye wall.
The movement of that eye became critical as Irma approached Florida. Max Defender 8 was the first to detect a major shift in the storm's track.
Still at this time, the Weather Service had this moving northwest. But then we started to notice, you know what? This does not look northwest to us.
It looks due north.
It looks due north. And then when we draw again, and that is a due north movement.
From tornadoes to ferocious wind and blinding rainfall, Max Defender 8 proved that it is the world's most powerful radar.
Ed Bloodsworth, Storm Team 8.
Storm surge from a hurricane or tropical storm is the greatest threat to life and property. Irma's Category 5 strength built up a tremendous surge that slammed the Florida Keys.
When it blew across the Florida Keys, Hurricane Irma had 130-mile-per-hour winds. But much of the devastation was caused by an 8-foot storm surge. Thankfully, almost everyone had evacuated because they knew when it comes to tropical systems, nothing is more dangerous and deadly than water.
It's known that about 50% of all deaths related to any hurricane impact are related to surge. And if you add on freshwater flooding or anything like that, it's an additional 40%. So about 90% is related to water, and only 10% is related to wind.
Irma did not discriminate when it came to storm surge.
I don't recall covering a hurricane that has affected all of the state virtually with significant weather, with storm surge there in the southeast part of Florida and Miami Beach to flooding in St. Augustine and all the way up to Jacksonville.
In northeast Florida, the St. Johns River rose to record-breaking heights. Thankfully, new storm surge forecast tools and advance warning from the National Hurricane Center have helped keep those at risk safe.
With these major landfalls, with Harvey, Irma, Maria, and then even a Category 1 Hurricane Nate, which produced near equivalent storm surge values, we had 0 related deaths.
Is your home safe from the force of a hurricane's wind or water? Coming up, we'll show you what you can do today that may save your home tomorrow.
Stay with us. Surviving the storm. We'll be right back.
Surviving the Storm, a Storm Teammate special, is sponsored by Tutwiler Public Adjusters and COLLIS Roofing.
Going on now, Ashley Home Store's huge Memorial Day sale. Now through Monday, get up to 40% off or 0% interest for 6 years. Line up at 10 a.m. on Saturday to get a free set of stemless wine glasses with any purchase. Only at Ashley Home Store.
It's Billy, Gloria, McKenzie right here at Priscilla Kia. You know, it's the month of May. It's the Billy bonus program continuing on. And folks, have I got news for you. This additional $500 that we're putting on all foreign car trades. So you come in, you get a discount. You come in, you get the rebate on the car. And then we're going to give you another $500 over and above if you're trading in a foreign car.
It's a good month.
I'll tell you something, it's unbelievable. All my managers are over in Italy right now on the President's Club Award trip. So we're going to get out of the gate fast. Come and see us where everything is
huge.
Better call Benkett.
Shannon, you're the last resort for it.
Weekdays on News Channel 8 at 5.
If you were going to design your perfect car, which 3 features would you choose? Safety with the kids.
Fuel efficiency.
Affordable price.
My dream car would have all of these things.
What if I told you that there was a car that did have everything?
Serious? Okay.
This is the Chevy Cruze. Go Chevy.
Current qualified GM lessees can get this well-equipped Chevy Cruze for around $199 a month, or get $4,000 total cash allowance when you purchase. See your Southern Chevy dealers.
This is not a restaurant. This is a front porch and back booth with room for one more. Come fill up on all your favorites. Sonny's Barbecue. Come taste tradition.
It's Ashley Home Store's huge Memorial Day mattress sale. Save up to $1,000 on select Ashley Sleep and Sealy Queen mattresses. Line up at 10 a.m. on Saturday to get a free set of stemless wine glasses with any purchase. Hurry in, the Memorial Day mattress sale ends Monday. Ashley Home Store.
Last year, NASA launched a space mission to give scientists a look directly into the eye of a hurricane. Storm Teammates Ed Bloodsworth shows us what 8 pint-sized satellites orbiting the Earth have been able to tell us.
And drop Pegasus is away. Ignition of the Pegasus rocket with Cygnus.
Launched and into orbit, University of Michigan scientists realized a vision when Cygnus satellites were deployed at over 300 miles above the Earth.
The original science goal of the project was to support measurements of winds in the inner core of hurricanes, often and with sufficient quality to be able to improve the weather forecasting skill.
Dr. Chris Ruff and the Cygnus team were able to take satellite-based wind measurements from a wide variety of storms, from weak tropical storms to Category 5 monsters like Irma and Maria.
Yeah, those 2 storms were really perfect for us to be able to quantify our very high wind performance.
Cygnus researchers were able to compare their data with observations from Air Force and NOAA aircraft in real time.
I mean, we use the hurricane hunters as kind of our ground truth. to verify our performance. So we had a huge amount of intercomparison data between their standard measurements of the hurricane wind speed and our measurements from the top down.
Dr. Ruff tells us the satellites will continue taking measurements up to the year 2022. Ed Bloodsworth, Storm Team 8.
Buildings like this one here at Tampa Bay Watch are designed and built to withstand hurricane winds and storm surge. Storm Team 8's Julie Phillips shows us some of the newest ways to strengthen your home.
Keeping the wind out and the roof on. That's the main goal when it comes to protecting your home against a hurricane.
We hear folks that said, hey, I wish I would have looked at getting some kind of shutters sooner because, I was one of those people that was trying to get that last sheet of plywood.
Michael Romaldi of the Federal Alliance for Safe Homes heard many regrets like this last year after Irma. If you'd like to not be that person this year, now's the time to start planning. First, look at your roof. If you're in the market for a new one, Romaldi recommends looking at the wind zone it is rated for. A roof is not where you want to skimp on costs or just look for the longest warranty. You may also want to put down a secondary water barrier,
which is the aspect of putting something below the shingles that should you lose your shingles, water's still not going to penetrate into the roof of your house.
Another way to harden your roof is with a hurricane clip. It doesn't look like much, it's about $1, but it attaches to your walls and roof truss or framing unit, and it can greatly enhance what your roof can withstand in a storm. It can be added into new construction like this, and it's a little more difficult, but also into existing homes too. You should also be looking at your windows and your doors. There are many new options out there too, Romaldi explained.
And that's what people need to start thinking about now to decide, are they going to go with something like impact glass, which is, protection 24/7, 365. You don't have to worry about putting up a shutter, or are you going to purchase some kind of shutter system?
To prevent any wind debris, start inspecting your yard and landscaping too. Remember, in 100-mile-per-hour winds, things like gravel can act like bullets that can actually go right through your window. I'm Storm Team 8 meteorologist Julie Phillips.
Mother Nature sometimes needs a little help recovering after a hurricane hits. We'll show you what an army of volunteers is doing to save our shoreline.
More Surviving the Storm coming up after the break.
It's the Billy Bonus program continuing in the month of May. And guess what? When you're talking price, folks, all over Florida who sells more than anybody else. Do you think it's because we charge too much? Come in and see us where everything is huge.
I'm here at Checkers and Rallies. They just dropped a new peach mango island slushie. Ooh. I could taste the peach. I could taste the mango. Oh, my God, the brain freeze. Ah! Checkers and Rallies. Fast foodies know the deal.
So you guys have recently started dating? Yes. Cool. I want to show you guys 3 Chevy SUVs. The first one is called the Trax. Great for when you move in together. And this is the Chevy Equinox. Perfect for when you 2 have your first kid.
Give me some time.
Okay. This is the Traverse. For when you have your 5 kids, 2 dogs, and 1 cat.
Whoa.
5?
Switch into a new Chevy now. Current qualified competitive lessees can get this 2018 Chevy Equinox for around $199 a month. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
Look, a Bluebell truck! Mom, follow him!
Hang on, kids.
Folks everywhere just can't seem to resist the rich homemade taste of Bluebell ice cream. And because it's delivered fresh to your store by our very own drivers, we've developed quite a following. Somewhere a full half-gallon of Bluebell ice cream is on its way to you.
See, when I think of Checkers or Rowdy fries, I think of some good seasoned fries. You can get any size fry for $1. Get some good fries. You can't just try one fry. All of them gonna have to be working in tandem. Good. Checkers and Rowdy's. Fast foodies know the deal.
Going on right now for Silo Kia, an additional $500 on any foreign car traded in. Here's a Hyundai. There's a Toyota, and right here's a Honda, folks. These folks got an additional $500 this month, only at Silo Kia. It's
huge.
The wind and water driven by a hurricane can transform a landscape overnight. We know the damage a storm can do, but can severe weather actually help the environment?
The force of strong hurricanes like Irma batter everything in their way. Veteran NBC reporter Kerry Sanders discovered Irma's fury standing in the path of Irma's eye wall as it slammed ashore on Marco Island.
When the wind turns, we start... Wow. Okay. Hang on. Yeah.
Even though it is below the water's surface, aquatic life is not immune to a storm's damage and destruction. Tampa Bay Watch is a nonprofit organization dedicated to preserving and restoring the bay with the help of a large volunteer workforce. Irma's winds and rain runoff caused damage along the shore, threatening the valuable oyster population.
Basically, that nutrient-rich water kind of created algal blooms, which created some problems. The oysters were there to kind of control it, but you know that was a lot of water, so that damaged a lot of things, created some water quality issues. But if we have the oysters there in strong supply, that can help prevent things like that.
That's why one of Tampa Bay Watch's more important projects is the creation of concrete oyster domes that attract and house colonies of the creatures. After a few months, the artificial reefs will be covered with hundreds and later thousands of oysters.
Oyster communities are one of those systems that do a great job of reducing wave action along shoreline. So we look at every opportunity that we can to install these natural oyster bars to help protect against widespread erosion around natural shorelines in the bay.
More than that, the oysters improve water quality by getting rid of pollution.
Once they grow up, once submerged, they're filtering anywhere from 2 to 5 gallons of water an hour. They're filtering that through their system in order to feed, getting algae, organic matter out of the water. But what they're also doing is taking out things like storm drain runoff, pollution, the algae that causes red tide, your microplastics to some degree, and that allows for that water to be cleaned through a biological filtration process through the oysters, and then allows other things to come back to the system that were more susceptible to that pollution.
We know hurricanes can hurt the environment, but can they actually help? Scientists believe tropical storms are a natural occurrence and serve an environmental purpose.
Hurricanes are a necessary part of the system. They're kind of a cleansing, as it were.
Plague says hurricanes create new sandy islands, allowing fresh sea and salt marsh grasses to regenerate and thrive, holding the islands in place and allowing plant and animal habitats to develop and grow.
Circle of life.
Thanks so much for joining us here at Tampa Bay Watch in Pinellas County. Make sure you prepare by having your plan in place well ahead of time. We hope the information we brought you will help you and your family prepare for the next storm. Good night.